Hello everybody, and welcome to Psyched for Psychology, a channel that is devoted to helping you with all things related to psychology and research. When I was an undergraduate, I'm now a PhD student in psychology. When I was an undergraduate, all of the SPSS tutorials were really clean and neat. There were not all of these columns like this, like you would see in a real data set. I'm showing you a real public data set right now. I'll show in another video where you can find publicly available data sets. A lot of the SPSS tutorials really leave out a lot of key information by giving you only the basics, such as everything already has the mean in place. Everything is already lined up perfectly for you. But what if you have a data set that looks like this? What are you going to do? Well, this SPSS tutorial and my channel is for you, because that is what I plan to sort of unpack the mystery of that. In this tutorial, I want to talk about how we describe our participants first. So how do you find that information in the participant section of a paper? So here's a paper that I wrote using this public data set. So how do you get this information? How do I know that this is how many females and how many males there are? The age range, the mean of the ages, the ethnicity of the participants. So what you're going to do first is you're going to go to, and now it's going to depend on what your research is about, what your research questions are. You may want to add more demographics than this, and that is fine. And this data set did kind of do something a little bit unusual when it comes to the racial and ethnicity. They asked them like separately, yes or no. What you're going to do to get that participant information. Now here's another important thing. All of these need to be labeled correctly. For me, I do it in Qualtrics. I'm not sure what the dataset creators here did. But if you label it well in Qualtrics, if you want to see a demonstration of how that works so that you can get clean columns, I can also do that. But what you're going to look at first is frequencies. So analyze descriptive frequencies. I already have them all moved over here, so I'm going to move them back to show you. All right. So we'll start with age. These are early adolescents, so this will tell us how many, the age range and how many of each age are within this data set. I think this is the grade. Here is race, so Hispanic, white, black, American Indian, Asian. Child gender, I'm just going to press this over here. And then they asked SES to young adolescents, so it was, in your opinion, how's your family doing financially? And it was on a scale of, we can pay for everything we want and more, and we can barely meet our needs, was the scale that they used for that. And then you're going to hit OK. Now if you're in a class that requires syntax, you would want to hit paste, but we're doing it the simple way today. You're going to hit OK. And now, as you can see, 10 or younger, we have 55 participants, which makes up 2.6% of the entire demographic. We have 482 11-year-olds, 608 12-year-olds. So that's almost 30%. We have 609 13-year-olds. We can see grades from 5th through 9th here, with the majority being in 6th grade. Actually, the 7th grade, so 33.7%. You can also see here that they answered that they were Hispanic. 305 did, which makes up 14.5% of this sample. For white, 60.8% identified as white, 26.6%, and so on. If you go down to gender, you can see that there were 1,008 males and there were 1,096 females. And here we have from low socioeconomic status to high socioeconomic status. So we sort of have middle, so we have low, middle, and upper class. So then what do you do with this? That information goes in your participants section, like so. We had 2,104 in total, so if we go back here, you can see that. 2,104, 2,104. So if you look at the total down here, you see that repeated. That's our entire sample, so N equals 2,104. N is always going to be in italics. Mean is always going to be in italics. Standard deviation will always be in italics. So I show the range between 10 and 14 years and then give the mean age based off of what that information gave. Now, in order to find the mean age, you're going to want to go back into your data set. You're going to go to Analyze, Descriptives, and we're going to put age. Let's see. Oh, this is actually the wrong data set. It's a different one. I have two different ones up right now. Analyze and go to, let's see, Descriptives. Age. Let's see, mean and standard deviation. Okay, perfect. Hit OK. So as you can see, the mean is 12.34 and the standard deviation. So on average, the participant deviates one standard deviation above the mean. The youngest we have is 10 years old and the oldest we have is 14. And here's our total sample again. So that is where I got the mean and standard deviation from. Here, where I say students were aged between 10 and 14 years. Then you put that in like brackets there. M and the SD should be italicized. And then you saw these percentages. They were within the output up here. So if they said yes to it, it shows 26.6%, 60.8%. Usually it's asked in one question, not in these separate questions. So yours will likely look different from this. It'll likely just have the race and ethnicity groups down sort of in columns and then in rows. But you can even see here, it gives you a percent as well for socioeconomic status. So 45.9% were in what you would probably call upper middle class, 28% were in kind of middle class, which is what is reflected here. So that is sort of your first step in finding data, is how do we describe the participants? And so that is what I did in this video, was help you reach this section. Now, your next step would be to just do descriptive statistics, so overall group statistics, which looks like this. But for right now, we're going to keep the video right here. So that is how you find information about your participants. This is something I wish somebody would have gone over with me when I was a student. So I hope this is helpful. If this is helpful to you, please like and subscribe, and I will continue making these videos for you. Feel free to pause the video and look at how I have written up the subjects, the participants of this study. And again, what you want to include is going to depend on your study. You may want to include someone's grade level, what they're studying in college, etc. Thank you for watching.